So today we have a huge guest, a huge guest. Honestly, when I first started thinking about my podcast, her name came up first, honestly. And I'm not just saying that. She's a very hard person to reach. She's a great woman, a great role model. Like, honestly, I believe men and women could take a lot of information from this episode. And obviously, we haven't even filmed it yet. We honestly haven't even filmed it yet, and I just know what type of heat is about to come out. She has the East Wing. It's a clothing line, a clothing company. Honestly, she's a great poet. She's a great person to talk to, a great friend, great understanding, like as far as life goes. She's one of the most driven people that I know, men and women, extremely driven. So without further ado, let's bring in Kalani. Hey, all right. Word. Kalani, how you feeling?
I feel great.
All right,
Got me
smooth.
smiling. I
Yeah,
appreciate
listen.
that.
Look, next week and the next time you come on, the edification is going to get better and better the more I do this. You feel me?
Okay.
So, first and foremost, Kalani, she's been my friend for about 3 years now, right? Honestly, almost 3 years to the day, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my birthday is in 2 weeks. It's actually in 13 days. Her birthday is what, 2 days before or 2 days after
I'm
mine?
29th.
Yeah, all right, so 4 days after mine, I'm the 25th. And that's pretty much how we ended up meeting each other, honestly, just around social media, Instagram, etc. Correct? All
You
right.
posted something, and
Yeah.
it resonated with me.
So, Kalani,
Hey.
listen. Can you just tell the audience a little bit about yourself? Where you from? What are you doing? You know, we don't have to get into the East Wing yet. I really want people to understand the type of woman you are. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Likes, dislikes, whatever.
Okay. Well, I'm 29. I'm almost 30. Got a couple of weeks. I have actually been a flight attendant for 6 years. I started my boutique, the East Wing, 2.5 years ago. A little bit more than that, actually. And as far as like likes and dislikes, I am really committed to growth. Once I started seeing what can happen as a result of just kind of putting energy into mindset and reading more books, and I kind of almost became like obsessed with it.
So, Kalani, can you, tell us a little bit, let's get a little bit deeper into that. Are you from New York? Are you from the Poconos? I think you're from one of those areas.
I was born in the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
I did high school and some of college in the Poconos. Early 20s, I went back to the Bronx. Went to school out there. I was actually working in the fashion district in New York.
Okay, there you go.
I worked for a women's wholesale company.
Okay.
It was a family-owned women's wholesale company.
Okay.
And that's actually where I started learning about wholesale versus retail.
Gotcha.
My degree is in criminal justice.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's definitely what I do is way off of what my degree is in, but that was the first time where I started kind of seeing what's possible.
Right. So is that where the fashion sense started building, or did you always have that fashion sense, like before you worked in the fashion district?
I've always loved fashion.
Okay.
I've always been into fashion bloggers and things like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was there that I got to see a different side of business. Actually, I had a client who was out in Honduras.
Okay.
And she had 3 daughters. And so basically my job was to sell to them. So if they couldn't make it to New York, to the showroom, I would send them pictures. I'm doing all my sales via WhatsApp, text messaging, email, and so on. And so this customer in particular started a boutique in her country. It ended up being so big, almost like a Forever 21 in her country.
That's fire.
As her daughters got older, they took over the company. So you've got these 3 girls who were probably just a little bit older than me at the time.
How old were you, like 23?
Yeah, 23, 24.
Okay.
They were a little bit older than me, CEOs of this company, traveling the world, on the covers of magazines, all because of something that their mother had built. So seeing that, and then I'm working for a business who was the mother was the owner, the daughter was the manager, the brother of the owner would come in and ship the orders. Like it was so much.
Fire.
I got to see what putting your family on really looked like, because I I'm not gonna say I didn't come from nothing, but there was nothing passed down to me.
Of course.
So for me, this was the first time that I'm seeing like, oh, this is a real thing.
Yeah.
They really do this.
Yeah.
And it kind of started going from there.
So did you have that thought of creating the East Wing at 23, working in the fashion district, or was that something that just started around the time that you and I met, 2017, 2018?
No, it was a thought. It was a thought. It transitioned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't start off
as
like
all
I want an
things
online
do.
boutique. Right.
Right.
It started off as like, you know what, maybe I can buy wholesale and just sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can buy things for the low and go to a flea market and see if I could flip it for double.
Yes.
Like it started off like that.
Yeah.
I even went at 23, 20, whatever age I was, and purchased like a assorted pack for like $60 from this random vendor that
An assorted pack of what?
of clothes, whatever they gave me. I was
Gotcha.
like, oh, $60? I could do that with my little $15 an hour paycheck.
Yeah.
And got it. Couldn't do nothing with it
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know that buying a assorted pack without knowing what I'm buying wasn't a good idea at the time.
Right.
But it was just that idea was there. I was familiar with wholesale. That's where I really got to see wholesale retail. That's where I learned just the process that from where clothing from being made all the way up until it's in the stores.
Mm-hmm.
So even from that, I had an idea. I just didn't know how I wanted to execute my idea.
And so after that, you moved back to Philly when you're done working that job? Or you moved to Philly?
While I was at that job, I was there for a bit over 2 years. That's when I applied to be a flight attendant. So that
I should have said that. I should have said that you did. I say you were a flight attendant?
I said it.
Okay. Yeah. When I was edifying you in the beginning, I definitely should have said you were a flight attendant. I think that's such a cool job, yo. I did, right? All right. Word. Yeah. My cousin just helped me out. Word. Yeah. Being a flight attendant is such a cool job, yo. No cap. All right. Cool. So.
It matches my lifestyle. It matches the kind of person I am.
It does.
It fits me well.
It does.
But when I got that job, that is when I was based out in Philly.
Okay.
So that's what brought me to the area. I didn't know anything about Philly.
Right.
I didn't know anything about. I was just there like, okay, well, they give me 5 days to figure out where I'm going to live.
Oh, okay.
And so in 5 days, I found my apartment and I moved.
Did they pay for your move?
No.
Okay, so you had money saved up and you was like, I'm going to take this leap of faith, right? Essentially, or no?
Yeah, basically, and I've been in the same spot ever since.
Yeah. No, it's fire though.
lucky.
It's fire because you're growing in that spot, from what, 24, 25?
Yeah, 24 actually. It was 2015.
So from 24 to almost 30, you've been growing in the same spot.
Yeah.
I think that's fire, honestly. I think that's fire. So to really like get into like the East Wing, can you tell everybody what the East Wing is? I know you said that it's a boutique, but further explain it. And a lot of people that are going to be listening to this, we've heard of the name boutique before. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I know about it. It's just a certain collection of clothing or a certain collection of items. So anything could be a boutique the way I understand it. Yeah. So what's your definition of it?
That's actually correct. If you compare a boutique to like a Nordstrom or like a department store where it's just a mix of everything, boutique is smaller almost. It's very, I guess, more niched down.
Okay.
But you had it right.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And so the boutique in your sense is that it's only for women. Is that where the boutique comes in?
So my offerings are pretty consistent. So you won't see club wear or I don't even sell shoes right now. So it's very just I offer a certain style of clothing, and that's pretty much all you're gonna find at the East Wing.
Which is like upper end going out nightwear to
versatile, something that if you like me, because I'm lazy. I'm a lazy hustler is what I call it.
I like that.
When I get dressed up, I'm not going to change my outfit 3 times today.
Right.
So what I am going to do is I'm going to switch out these Jordans for some heels and I'm going to keep it going. So that's,
I love it.
I stick with things that are comfortable because I don't like to be restricted. I base it a lot off myself and things that I know that women can relate to. So again, comfort, I don't like to be restricted. Versatility, statement pieces are cool, But statement pieces, you take a picture, you put it on the gram, and then you might not want to wear it again because Instagram already saw it.
I have a lot of statement pieces.
You know?
I have a lot.
But you feel me?
Yes.
It's
yes.
like, I can wear it
Yes.
again, but I'm not gonna post it.
Right. Right.
So a lot of things that can be mixed.
He has
and
a lot of
mashed.
statement pieces too.
So you feel me? So that was
Yeah.
for me. I'm like, I love this outfit. I was feeling myself in this outfit, but Instagram already saw it. And
Of
what if I
course.
go out and I see somebody who already saw it on Instagram?
Right,
Like,
right. Then you feel like a
so-
bum because you wore a shirt from 3-4 weeks
It
ago.
don't feel the
and it's
same the
yeah,
second
it don't-
time.
right,
It don't
right.
hit the same.
Nah, I love it.
So
I love it.
my
That's funny.
styles is no matter what you get, there's going to be so many ways to wear it that you still gonna be feeling yourself, and you can still put it on the gram because it's a whole new outfit. It's a whole new look.
Yeah.
So that's what I go for: versatility, comfort, timelessness. You can wear it next year; it's still gonna be in style. Not something that it was like, okay, that was 2019. You can't bring that back out.
Yeah.
So things that really bringing you value, and at a low cost.
So this is the oh my gosh. So this is the way I describe the E-Swing to whomever I'm describing it to. And Kalani knows I'm honestly a great I'm a great advertiser,
Yes,
right?
you are.
I'm a great advertiser. So what I say is it's fashion over prices, Zara quality.
I like that.
That's it.
I'm gonna use that. Let me write that down.
Listen, right. Fashion over prices, Zara quality. Because I had an ex-girlfriend that I think I got her like $100 gift card. You remember that,
no,
right?
Christmas,
Last Christmas. So then she bought clothes from me. I'm looking at the clothes. I'm like, yo, I love it. And then it came with like a handwritten note, like strictly like with her name, your handwriting. I'm like, yo, Kalani is so lit.
My little chicken scratch.
Your little chicken scratch. No, but it's lovable, right? Because that's how you get that prestige. One of the questions that I had for you is, do you focus on the next customer or do you focus on the customer that you have now? Like,
I balance.
which one? Okay.
I balance. Customer loyalty is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So those handwritten notes, I've been writing them since I started this business.
I love it.
I am really good with the names too.
I know.
And even if it's a name that maybe I'm not familiar with, I'll refer to their order history, and then I'll see what they ordered. And I'm like, oh no, I know who this is. I know who Michelle from Louisiana is.
Right. Without seeing
And so
faces.
With that, I don't know most of my. Sometimes I'll have a name, and then they'll just comment on something on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, that's my girl Nancy. I'm
That's
like,
nice.
that's who it is.
That's nice.
I communicate a lot with my customers because to me, I really genuinely appreciate the support.
Yeah.
This is not like, this is my dream.
Yeah.
So it don't matter if you spent $25 with me or $250 with me.
Facts.
You gave me your money. You
Facts.
trusted my business. You trusted me
Facts.
with your money.
Facts.
So those notes, I've been doing it for the entire time, every single order. And my VIP customers, the ones that I've seen a lot, like they even have their own discount codes of
That's
their
fire.
name.
That's
of their
fire.
name.
That's fire.
So you
That's
always
fire.
I take care of my.
That's fire.
It comes from a genuine place of appreciation. It's not like these big businesses who are, if you're not happy, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
oops,
Verizon.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
All
Facts.
these, listen, it's been me.
Yeah.
It's been me. So I put the customer experience at the forefront. If you email me, I'm going to respond. If you send me a message, hey, I bought this 2 years ago. You think it looks nice with these shoes? Girl, do you got them? You got those, but like in black?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I build a real relationship
No,
with
and
my customers.
honestly, so you remember like those commercials back in the day? I feel like everybody used to watch like Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy, and right before it comes on, you see, oh, the new Ford, F-150 is coming out, and Ford had the J.D. Power and Associates, like for customer satisfaction, like that's exactly how I feel about you. Like you need a yearly award for customer satisfaction.
Listen, sometimes I write my emails and I'm like, girl, you good.
Yeah, nah, facts. I be seeing I see Kalani on IG, and you can follow her on Shop E-Swing. And honestly, her branding is so phenomenal because when I tell people about the company, I say Shop E-Swing. I don't say the E-Swing. I have to literally think about it.
Yeah.
And that shit, like, it's so amazing because when you think about Shop E-Swing, you're like, Shop E-Swing, like, what am I shopping for? And then you'll probably search it up, Google it, go on IG, figure it out. I just feel like, honestly, the way she's been running this business for the last 3 years, or you said 2.5?
Almost 3. I make
Almost 3,
in May.
right? Yeah. So 2.5, almost 3 years has been nothing short of amazing. Honestly, extremely proud of the energy that you've put in and the growth that I've seen you do with like, promotion and, so look. We're not going to get into any tangents. What we're going to do is follow this. I got a list of questions that I honestly just want to ask. So we asked the first one. The second one is, everyone that goes on their journey through entrepreneurship, right? They have that moment of, all right, well, I'm gonna chase this, right? So you said recently, well, a minute ago, that this is your dream. Number one, when did it become your dream?
It became my dream. So I've always had the dream of finance. I'm not gonna say always. When I started reading my books and things like that and learn what's out there. So once I started seeing what's out there and reading other people's stories, instead of it being like why me? Like, I didn't get this, or things aren't working out for me that way. It's like, nah, if they could do it, damn right I could do that too. Yes. And I became so obsessed with it almost. And just reading all these different stories. So when I say dream, it's like it's all of that as a package. So because even beyond the East Wing, I have so much more that I can see myself doing, but I'm taking it one step at a time. So like, instead of putting 10% into 10 different things, I'm putting 100% into this one. And let's get this on a place where it's running itself before I move on to the next thing. So that's pretty much what I'm talking about, the dream of like financial freedom, living life on my own terms.
I love it.
Retiring my mama.
I love it.
I
love it. I love it. That button is a little too long. But I love it. I love it.
Thank you. It's just I feel this this personal responsibility for my loved ones who don't even know that I feel this way for them. Like, I want to show, I have an 11-year-old sister. I want to show her what you can do. And I'm all for good grades and all that other stuff, but I'm like, that's not the only way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm saying that as a college graduate. So I want to show my girls that you really can do anything when you make that decision. That's it right there. A lot of people have this idea that, like, oh, I would love to do this or whatever.
We're good. My cousin just tripped. My cousin literally just. So what we're going to have, we're going to have a blooper reel. We're definitely going to have a blooper reel. Yes, we're definitely, after each season or after like 20 episodes, I'm going to have a blooper reel. This is going to be in it. This is definitely going to be in it.
I love it.
All right, I'm listening.
What was I saying?
So you were saying, like, you want to be a role model for the women in your life, for the, your little sister, the kids. I
want to be the one that changes.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to be the one that changes the trajectory of my family. Just again, show them what you can do. Oh, back to the decision. I want to show them what you can do when you make that decision too, because a lot of people have ideas. Oh, that would be nice. But I think it's one thing from having an idea of something that would be nice, and maybe even trying it. Maybe they go as far as buy some products.
Yeah.
But buying some products and even getting an LLC is not the same thing as making that decision.
Exactly.
Because if I didn't make this decision, I would have stopped the first 3 months when I was only making $50 a month.
No, facts.
So I made that decision. I'm like, it's
So you were only making $50 a month because of the expenses it costs to run it, or because people were not buying?
I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. You have this when a lot of people, what I see when they go into this, and this also goes back to why making that decision is so important.
Yeah.
They go back into it and they think, all right, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to take some pictures. I'm going to put it on the internet and people are going to buy it.
Right.
And there is so much more that goes into that. So I was one of those people. I didn't know what people were being. I mean, I sold a couple things the first day, but there's one thing where you got them couple sales and people are supporting you because they love you, so they're gonna buy the shirt. They might never wear it, but I'm gonna buy it because you just launched.
Right.
Once that initial the people who are gonna support you because it's you, once that dies down,
you gotta figure it out.
Then what?
Right.
So you have to just keep trying to, I guess, diagnose your business. And I spent the last 3 years diagnosing my business.
I love it. I love it. So when it comes to, like, you starting off, what made you want to start? Like, what made you say, because I feel like for a lot of people, it's, for me, right, me starting this, or me starting a podcast, like, this was an idea I've had like 3 years ago. I could have been making the same excuses, but decided not to. And, for whatever reason, I just started the podcast. other times when I created other companies, I was in like, a bad space. I was in a bad space when I created, when I was in 24, when I 2015, I was 24 years old, 23 years old. I created Hunters, right? And I think I told you about it. It was like hunger, nobility, tenacity, relentless strength.
I got the hoodie.
You got the hoodie, yes. I sold the hoodie. I created that. And as I'm creating it, it came out of a situation. I was with a girl for like 6 months, right? She was never my girl, but honestly, all we ever did was have sex. That's it. And I was 23. Well, yeah, honestly, I was like 23, whatever age I was in 2015. So if I'm 20, I'm about to be 20. Yo, right. So I was 22. And after I got tired of this, I'm in bed with you all day and then, not doing nothing. I'm like, yo, I need to get myself out the matrix. I got myself out the matrix. I broke up with her. We never talked again. And I created a business. I created a company and I found my passion, which brought me here. Right. So this has been a 6-year progress or a 6-year progression for me. And it started out of me not knowing what the hell I was going to do with my life. So let's talk about for you, the East Wing. How did that actually start for you to say, I'm taking the first step?
Okay.
And what was that first step?
So I actually remember this exactly. Like to go back, so I had the vision. I didn't know what to do with it. Maybe 2015, 2016, I saw a girl online like selling jewelry or whatever, and I had this idea. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna start hand making jewelry and I'm gonna sell them online. At that time, I was in a very unhealthy relationship without realizing I was in an unhealthy relationship. So hand making the jewelry was something that I can do at home. I'm not going anywhere. There's not going to be any drama. There's not going to be any fights because I'm staying home. And that became my little hobby.
Yeah.
So that's when I made my first website. Again, didn't know anything about marketing. I just watched some YouTube videos to learn how to make some jewelry, sold it online. And some people would buy it. I'd make a couple of sales here and there.
How much was you selling them for?
It depended on the item, but maybe like $8 to $13.
Okay.
Again, so no business knowledge. So I didn't take out my expenses. I didn't consider how much time I was putting into making this. I was just happy to make my little 14. If I made a $21 sale, check me out.
Hey.
I was happy about it.
Yeah.
I ended up going back to school, and I was also flying at this time. So then it became too much for me to be in school, fly, and still make the jewelry. So that kind of died down. However, when that relationship ended, I realized that it's not that I had a passion for the jewelry or anything like that. It's just that was something that I could do without it interfering, I guess, with my unhealthy relationship that I didn't realize was unhealthy. And so following that relationship, I graduated from school, and after I graduated, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, okay, now what?
So when you graduated school, you were still a flight attendant, right? You were a flight attendant.
Yeah, I actually went back to school when I was a flight attendant.
So when you graduated school, you're like, I graduated, I'm a flight attendant, which is a great job, and would you consider a flight attendant a career? Is there
absolutely
ways to advance being a flight attendant?
Not necessarily. I mean, you can do things within the company. However, we have great benefits.
Right.
We actually get paid really well especially for what we do.
Yeah.
The benefits are great. And what other job is going to pay me to see the world?
Yeah.
So I love it. And so after I graduated with my degree in criminal justice, I was like, okay, well, what can I do that is not going to require me to leave this career that I love?
Right.
I'm really big on happiness. I don't believe there's any amount of money that's worth my happiness.
Right.
And I knew that I was happy as a flight attendant.
Gotcha.
I don't know if I'm going to be happy in criminal justice. I don't know. What I do know is that I love traveling and I love my passengers. Not all the time, but I genuinely like what I do. Just to keep it real.
Yeah.
I genuinely like what I do. So then upon graduation, I'm like, okay, now what? And then I got this idea. I'm like, I'm going to join the Army.
You had the idea that you were going to join the Army.
I was going to join the Army.
I have never heard this before.
Really?
Yeah, let's hear
okay.
it. Yeah.
So I was going to do just that.
Yeah.
I wanted to do the Air Force, but I have too many tattoos. They were like,
Why? Yeah, why they said no to too many tattoos?
They were visible. They went too low on my elbow. I mean, on my wrist or something like that. So,
Okay.
the Army it was.
Okay.
So I went. I took the test.
You signed up for the Army?
I went everything. I did the physical. They had me up in Maryland for a weekend.
Yeah. The
everything.
Army Reserve or the Army?
I was doing the Army Reserve.
Okay, yeah.
It was National Guard. I switched it a couple times.
Yeah.
So I went. I took the test. I knocked it out. It was great. The physical, all the other stuff. However, I had gotten into some trouble in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And so when that came back up, so basically after I finished all the medical and everything like that, I was just waiting on them to get back to me on the waiver.
Gotcha.
The moment I got that waiver back, I got the okay. My recruiter was like, no, you're fine. Like, since then, like, you've gotten it all together. You went back to school. You've held this job down. You're going to be fine.
And you're 25.
I was 20. No, actually, about 25. Actually, you're right.
I know you.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm here like, how old was I? How old am I right now? Like, so I waited for a couple months.
Yeah.
So I waited for maybe like 3 or 4 months. I'm like texting my recruiter. I'm like, any update? Because like I feel like I'm not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually he told me that they declined it. And so during this entire...
Eventually, how much time?
It was like
passed?
3 or 4 months of me waiting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I finally get the text I've been waiting for, and they declined it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, during this entire time, I wasn't my best mentally.
Gotcha.
This is after that relationship.
Yeah.
When that relationship ended, I didn't know what to do with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what did I do before him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like, okay, well, I haven't seen my friends in 2+ years. I'm like, do I just pop back up now?
Yeah.
Like, I had to kind of learn how to be Kalani again.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to join the Army. Like, I felt like I kept trying to give my life a purpose because I couldn't figure out what it was. And so when they denied me, I remember I cried for like an hour. It was only like an hour.
Well, you waited 3-4 months.
Yeah. But in that hour, I was like, no. I'm like, there's a reason I'm not supposed to be going away. There's a reason. I'm like, there ain't no way that I went through all this. It was such a mental health challenge in my life already. I'm like, there's no way. And so about a week later, I was in Dallas on a work trip, and I was sitting in the hotel and I was watching YouTube videos. And that
what type
idea,
of YouTube videos?
To be specific, it was the Fine Guru, the Kyrie Irving's. I don't know if they're married now. His wife is a YouTuber.
Oh yeah, I had no idea.
And so I was actually watching her video,
Okay.
and she was talking about her boutique. And I was sitting on that bed, and I got that feeling again. Like I feel that when you get those ideas in your head, but like the ones that you feel, and yours is probably this one,
Yes.
and it's been on and off for a couple of years.
Yes.
I don't think that's coincidental. I feel like that's like God is like giving you little hints
Mm-hmm.
on what your purpose is, and there's a reason why that feeling kept coming up throughout the years.
Yeah.
And watching her video, I feel like was the first time that I had clarity on this idea that has been on and off for years. And so I sat on that bed and I went and I said, how do I file for my business license on the internet? And I filled out the application, and it was like a $60 application fee, and I just stared at it. I'm like, am I really going to do this? It's like, I'm going to take a nap and I'm going to come back to this.
Yeah.
And when I woke up, I was like, all right, we doing this. No turning back. Submit. And then from then on, it was like, all right, we doing this.
Right.
Like,
so that's when the East Wing was born.
that's when I filed for. I didn't have a name at the time
Right,
yet.
right,
I had
right.
filed it under like Kalani Jordan or something like
Okay,
that.
yeah,
but
yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. And honestly, that's a great story because once again, that's how a lot of things start. You know, a lot of things start off when we're down. You know, like my cousin is in a room with me. I've said it previous episodes, so it's honestly nothing. But that's how his thing started as well. Like, you know, the Empowering Cuts, it started when he got out of jail. Like, he got out of jail, tried to figure out what was going on, enrolled himself into barbering school. And, you know, he had a mentor there that took a liking to him. They built a relationship. And now he's traveling, you know, the world, like, or the country first, then the world, you know, cutting hair for the homeless, changing people's lives, honestly. And I feel like that's a big similarity. And I feel like that if there's one thing that I want people to take from this episode, out of the many things that you guys should be taking from this episode is when you're down bad, that's the time you got to be the most optimistic.
Yeah.
That's the time you got to be the most optimistic. That's the time you got to be the most hungry. That's the time you got to be like, you got to be your best friend when you're down bad like that. And I just love the origin story because I never heard it before, to be honest. Yeah. So, you know, just going into like the mental health aspect of it, you know, you're real deep into mental health right now. So like, you know, can you give women, and I really want this to be geared towards women, and fellas, y'all should be listening too, because these are the cheat codes, you feel me? So number one, what type of tips, let's say there's a woman out there, you know, she's in a abusive relationship, mentally, physically, whatever, she just don't know how to get out of it. You know, what type of advice would you give somebody that's in that relationship? Like, you know, whether it's get out or, you know, how can they navigate them? Like, how can they find harmony in such a tragic situation? Because obviously you said that you started the jury just trying to find harmony within the relationship. All right, I'm not going out. I'm doing my own thing. I'm mentally occupying myself. I'm physically occupying myself. So everybody's good, you know? So I guess.
I think the greatest recipe in something like that when you're in those situations is prayer and therapy. I think therapy is slept on. I think therapy helps you really start to find yourself and be able to catch on to the reasons why you are the way you are in the first place. Because therapy, my best friend used to tell me about it when I was in this relationship, and I was ignorant to it. I didn't know. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Until one day, I was so tired of being tired and not knowing what to do to not feel like this anymore. And I was like, all right, girl, I'm gonna listen to you. Just tell me what I got to do. How do I even find a therapist?
Yeah.
So I feel that therapy helps with identifying things, and I feel that prayer helps you find the strength to be able to heal from the things that therapy helped you identify.
I feel you.
You get
I like that. I like that.
So
I like that.
I think those were that right there is a recipe in itself. And to go with that, I relied on podcasts a lot. And the reason why I found them to be so beneficial is because it's one thing when you're talking to your friend or your family trying to get advice from them, but one, they don't know what they don't know. And two, naturally, because they love you, it's going to be biased.
Yeah.
So when I would listen to these podcasts, I would find what area was hurting me the most. And I would find podcasts like Tony Robbins or something that is so like relevant to that. Because now I'm listening to these people describe what I'm going through and know nothing about me. And then that goes back to, I'm like, well, if they can do it, why not me? Why can't I?
Right.
I stopped listening to music for I don't know how long.
Word.
If I was going to listen to something, it was going to be something that would help my mind, because it was anything. I feel like I hit a point of desperation where I'm like, I don't want to be sad anymore. I don't want to not want to do anything. I feel like I hit a point where I'm like, I didn't even want to have fun. Fun wasn't fun.
Right. Fun wasn't fun.
I was too tired to have fun. I had to find myself. And so I made that decision. I didn't know how I was going to do it at the time, but I knew that I was going to find myself again. I was going to figure it out. And so I dedicated myself to that.
No, I love it. And most importantly, the main thing that I got from that personally as a man, and just, you know, just listening to you talk right now, is you really grounded yourself, you know? And a lot of times, whether for you it was prayer and podcast, you feel me? Prayer, podcast, and therapy. So I got a question about that as well. Did you go to therapy around that time? Were you actively going to therapy?
Yeah.
Oh, for real?
I did. I went to therapy when I was still in the relationship.
Oh, wow.
This is when I started going, and my therapist, like, I got really lucky off the first one. I was like, this is the one. I didn't have to see a bunch. I was real blessed with mine. And the first conversation, like, we're just talking. And then as I would see him more, things started clicking a little bit better for me. And I remember, and I'll never forget it, because I think this was such a life-changing moment for me, but I was wrapping up a session with him, and he's like, okay, Kalani, when you come back here, I'm going to have homework for you. Your homework is to tell me why you are with him. And so with that, when I was walking out there, I didn't really have an answer. And I remember, like, earlier in that session, I kept saying, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, he might do this, this, and that. You know what I mean? Like, he might yell at me a lot, and he might get physical from time to time, but he's not cheating on me. Like, there's girls out there that's getting cheated on. But like, I don't got to deal with that, so I'm good. It's all right if he does this, this, and that, because he's not cheating on me.
Right.
And my therapist was like, you know that there are men out there that are going to respect you and not cheat on you.
Right.
That they're like, he's like, you know, you can get both.
Yeah.
And I had never really thought of that.
Right.
You know, I'm just kind of like, really?
Yeah.
I could have both. You know what I mean? I kind of always felt like I had to pick and choose, because I ain't never seen like a relationship the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I only know what I know.
Yeah.
And I only know this.
Yeah. Yo, that's poetry. Yo, you was killing that. Yo, that was bars. No cat. Yeah.
So when he asked me that,
Yeah.
when I left there, I really didn't have an answer. I'm like, why am I with him? I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I'm not my best. There's nothing that I can do that's going to make him happy. You know what I mean? Like, you can't make someone happy that don't want to be happy.
Right.
And so when I didn't have an answer, I think there was a strength that came with that, where I was like, no, Kalani, if you want different, you got to do different.
Right.
And what am I going to do to do different, to be different? And the strength kind of came from there.
No, I love it. And honestly, I think that's a great answer. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you on the podcast. You feel me? Because women need to hear that. You know, women and men need to hear that. You could lose the love of your life by being a dickhead, right? Like, simply put, right? And for women, it's take control. You feel me? Like, women really run this world. They just don't realize it. You feel me? Yeah. And I feel like that once women have that camaraderie, that male camaraderie, where it's like, you know, like, I'm never going to like just start beefing with my boy for no reason. Or, oh, my boy's shining, so I'm beefing with him because I'm waiting on my turn. I feel like that happens a lot with women. So to find women like yourself that are not on that wavelength and that could, like, you know, amplify your voice out into the masses, I feel like it's important. It's important. So, Kalani, 5 major fashion tips you would give women.
5 major fashion tips.
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm big on having them like staple pieces. Okay. Because, like I said, I like to mix and match my pieces and things like that.
Example of a staple piece.
I think like a plain bodysuit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because you could do so much with a plain bodysuit.
You could.
I think having those staple pieces, the go-to jeans, like the ones I'm wearing right now.
Okay. Yeah.
I can wear these every day.
What are those called, like dad jeans?
No, these ones are just like mid-waist. I don't know.
Okay. So mid-waist.
But mid-waist, light wash.
I was about to say stone wash. It was giving me stone wash. You feel me? It was giving stone wash.
Listen, right. I'm like, I feel like the staple pieces that you can, like what my brand is about, to go back to that, wear it a whole bunch of different ways. I feel like that's my biggest. I'm like, I don't even know what.
You don't got any more fashion tips for me?
Because I'm trying to think of what is it that I do. Fashion tips like I don't know.
All right. So what I'm thinking is, right, because the next question was 5 fashion tips for men. You feel me? Because you know what you like in a man. You know what you think is drippy. Like, you feel me? Like, go ahead.
I don't know how to. I feel like my stuff is so like versatile that I'm like, I can't even think of like.
So that's part 2. Can that be another fashion tip? Versatility.
Well, I get the staple pieces are really versatile. So I think my biggest thing is just by having those.
Gotcha.
By having a plain black bodysuit.
Okay.
You know, if you want to put a blazer over it, you could put a blazer over it. Yeah. If you want to just put on some jeans, you could put on some jeans. If you want to dress it up, skinny jeans with some heel. Like, it's like you could really, I think like the staple pieces is in itself.
Is your main fashion tip? So you have one main fashion tip, which is staple pieces.
Yeah,
and I think that's universal.
You want to go with that? Yeah, because I'm like, I really don't. I feel like I'm always doing something different. I'm like, I don't think I have a go-to like tip. I got little ways, like let's say for this one I want to wear these jeans, but as I'm wearing a loose graphic tee, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna tuck it in to still make it look a little like so I'm like, I don't think I have like a set list of fashion tips, at least not so generally.
Not so general. So honestly, I think me asking you that question, you're probably going to be thinking about this. You feel
You're
me?
not
Like,
wrong.
right. You're probably going to be thinking about this, and hopefully, I see something on the East Wings Instagram soon. With fashion tips.
I'm gonna shout you out too.
Yo, because that'll be fire. That'll be fire. Another thing I wanted to talk about was Kalani is actually my dreams and nightmares rapping partner. You feel me? But so, 3 years ago we were going out a lot. This is pre-pandemic. And when we're going out, anywhere you go out in Philly, my cousin actually, I was about to say my cousin could attest to this because born and raised in Philadelphia, but he's never been out. He's never been out. Like, you feel me? So if you go to any club in Philly, they will play Dreams and Nightmares at least one time. At least one time. Now, in Baltimore, they played a wobble 4 times in one night.
Get out.
You can't Dreams and Nightmares me 4 times in one night.
I ain't got that much energy.
Exactly. I don't got that much energy for the wobble. You feel me? No cat. But Kalani is one of the best people to go out with, especially having fun, just pure fun. Amazing. So, question. As far as, going out and you said all right, well, fun wasn't fun anymore. Are you still in that phase?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because you've been in that phase for a minute, I feel like.
When fun wasn't fun?
Yeah, because you've been off the grid.
So for me, I think where I'm at in this season of life, and I've been definitely doing a lot better is that work-life balance. Because what happened is I started working nonstop to the point where when I wasn't working, I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
When I wasn't working on my business, I didn't like the way I felt.
Right.
I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, what do I do with my hands? I'm like, if I'm not typing, because I got so consumed. So I think that work-life balance is something that I'm kind of like, all right, you don't got to work for there's no award for no sleep.
Right.
You know
there's
what
no
I mean?
award for, I love it. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at now is still doing what I love, but making sure that I'm still living in there too. And with that, the things that I like to do has shifted too.
You said the things that you have liked?
The things that I like to do have shifted too. I used to drink a lot.
So now drinking isn't fun anymore?
Not that it's not fun. I'll still have my drinks here and there, but I realized then it was less about drinking to have fun, but I drank because I wasn't happy. So
Right.
for me, it was the thought of, okay, let's go out tonight, let's turn up, let's just get drunk. I would drink so much, and then the next day I wake up and I did something stupid the night before. I got into some trouble. Now I got to deal with this. I sent text messages to somebody who I shouldn't have even been talking to.
Yep.
It was a lot of bad patterns with that.
Yeah.
So I had to recognize, no, you don't drink because you're sad.
Yeah.
You could drink because maybe you're celebrating something.
Right.
If I drink now, I'm celebrating life.
Right.
I'm celebrating I had a great sales day.
Right.
I exceeded my sales goal. You know what? Let's go. Let's cheers to that. Whereas back then, I would do a lot of that for escaping. So I had to identify that in the first place, so I can kind of
love
those
it.
patterns.
And you identified this when?
I think it fully hit me maybe 2 years ago or a year ago, when I kind of was like, no. And then on top of that, I get hungover just from staying up late now. So I don't know if it's this almost 30 thing, 30 coming up soon. I don't know if that's what it is, but I feel like there's been a whole lot of things that I have kind of recognized about myself because I was dedicated to learning. I became so dedicated to seeing what are the areas of my life that I don't feel my best, and it would be when I did something stupid because I was drunk, but it always came down to my drinking.
Yeah.
Just why do I feel the way I do? If I ever feel maybe feelings of envy or bitterness, or if maybe even jealousy, you know what I mean? Why is that making me feel this way? Where is that coming from? I became dedicated to kind of figuring that out first. so that I can heal from it.
Yeah.
Or so I can not feel like that anymore. Like
Yeah.
identify and then heal.
Reverse engineer.
I like that.
Reverse
Exactly
engineer.
that.
You feel me? Like, and once again, this is why I'm so happy that you're here. You feel me? People need to hear this. Women need to hear this. I feel like on the outskirt, or like, you know, looking at it from a macro perspective, a lot of people, they think that men or maybe women are, so let me try to figure out how to say it best. Macro, from a macro scope, macro, from I'm wildin'. So, and I'm gonna edit this out. We're good. We're gonna keep on going. So, what I feel like is, from a macro perspective, a lot of people say in the industry, in personal development industry, that more women are susceptible to, you know, I guess, learning and developing their mind than men. But maybe just because I'm a man, I typically only see men in the personal development industry. Like, Tony, name a huge woman speaker in personal development, like, you know, or a life coach. So can you name a woman life coach?
I mean, you have influential women like Sarah Jakes. I think her Sarah Jake Robert, is it? She's good. I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah.
But I just started following like some more on, but I can't think of she's probably the only one I could think of, and I probably get the name right.
This is what I've devoted my life to the last like 9 years. So I think I would have a good understanding, and that's the point. That's the reason why I'm happy that you're here, because people need to hear everything that you're saying, as far as, you know, I had to ground myself, or I had to, you know, reverse engineer and figure out why I was drinking, because we have a lot of the same similarities. My cousin knows, like, I have almost exclusively stopped drinking. And honestly, when I say that, I was in Florida 2 weeks ago. I had some drinks because it was Halloween. You know, I was out in a costume, but I'd rather smoke now. I feel like smoking is like really like chill. And that's what works for me. But I had to reverse engineer, because just like you, so many text messages, so many, like, you know, arguments, or, yo, James, do you remember what you did last night? Yo, do you remember? That's one of the most scariest questions, and the most annoying and heart-wrenching question. Bro, do you remember what you did last night? You feel me? And I got tired of that, right? I got tired of that. And from me being tired of that, from me being on the bottom floor, I had to reverse engineer, figure out, all right, why am I continuing to make these mistakes? Why am I'm not a bad guy, but when I'm drinking, I'm not me.
I hear that.
You feel me?
I hear that. And you get people that are like, yeah, but just know your limit. And that's not how it works for everybody.
It's not.
I've recently learned about something called like gray area drinkers.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that?
No.
So it's not an alcoholic. There's not an alcohol dependency there.
Yeah.
But there's a struggle with like limits.
Yeah.
Or maybe not being able to identify it. Yeah, that's where
that's exactly who
that's when I started kind of, I'm like, no, because that feeling of shame when I woke up the next day, shame and being hungover.
Yeah.
That I didn't like it, and I got tired of it.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm like, all right, girl, we're going to do something different now.
So we were gray area drinkers.
Gray area drinkers.
Which is still alcoholism.
Yeah.
Right?
It's still a bad, because some people are like, nope, I got to stop here. For me, I'm wasted, and I don't know that I'm drunk.
Yeah. Yep.
So if I have proven to myself time and time again that no matter how many times I tell myself, all right, you're going to stop when you hit a certain point, and I don't stop, at that point, I'm like, okay, we're just gonna cut this out as much as possible. You're gonna have your 2 little cocktails at dinner, and you're gonna put it down. You're good after that.
Yo, so like, I remember when this is around the time we first met. I remember I was on probation for a DUI, right? I took the DUI from my dad. You know the story. Yeah. My cousin know the story, and I was so scared when they told me you can't drink for 9 months. I'm like, what? You feel me? Like 9 months. Like, I can't do that. And that was alcoholism, right? That was my only gateway out and gateway through. And I feel like, you know, I guess to segue out of that is, what did you put in place of that?
In place of alcohol?
In place of alcohol, because so obviously happiness came, but there's something else that I feel like, you know, once you take something like alcohol out, like, what do you put in place of it?
I wouldn't necessarily say that I replaced it. What I did was I became real mindful of my environment and the people I was surrounding myself with. because there's a difference between friends, real life friends, I got you, I really got you, to people you have fun with. And my first step was understanding the difference between the two. Because I was getting I was getting drunk with people who I have fun with.
Right.
But when I was getting into trouble, they didn't want no parts.
Right.
And then over time, what ended up happening was when I stopped drinking as much, the friends who would really the friends that I had fun with, they stopped inviting me out.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't really talking to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of just faded out.
Mm-hmm.
When I kind of started setting a bit more boundaries with myself.
You started losing friends and gaining peace.
That's it.
Sounds like a fair trade to me. Hey,
And
yo, you know where I got that from?
Where?
You gave me the energy. You ain't. Fair Trade by Drake and Travis Scott.
Listen,
I get it. I get it. Podcast lady.
I'm out of the loop if it plays.
You need to listen to that song. You're going to love the song, especially the fact that you just described that. It's one of the best songs on CLB, Certified Lover Boy.
Mm-hmm.
So you haven't heard the album yet?
I have. I had to play in the background, but I can't tell you. I can't match a title with a song.
Listen to Fair Trade after this.
Noted.
You're going to love it.
Fair Trade.
So one question I have for you is, how did you invest into yourself during the last week, right? Last 7 days I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask all my guests that. You're going to be here next week, so I'm going to ask you again next week. Mm-hmm. And I just want that to be like a hashtag that comes like, hashtag invest in myself or whatever. We got to create a hashtag once again. You feel me? So how did you invest into yourself during the last week?
The last week? Well, for starters, I finished a book and started a new one. So I finished Life's Golden Ticket.
Ooh, yo, that's so fire.
I meant to text you about it.
Oh my gosh.
I finished it.
Read that book. Yes.
Yes. And then
Did you cry?
I did.
Ooh.
I felt, and I was on the plane when I was reading one part, and I was like, these ladies about to look at me like I'm crazy.
Yes,
I'm a little watery.
Yes.
But I finished that one, and then I actually went back to the first book that I read when I was first, like, you remember I said back then when I first started the idea of like financial freedom and things like that.
Yeah.
I started back the first book that I read then, which was Rich Dad Poor Dad. So now I'm running that one back right now.
Yes.
That and on my downtime, I never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
I never stop learning.
I love it.
So I'm actually enrolled in a a boutique program.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll sit down and I take my classes, and I'm like, okay, what can I take from this? Because like I said, I'm always diagnosing my business.
Yeah.
So even if it's information that I think I've heard 200 times, there's gonna be that little bit in there that's new to me that maybe I missed the first time.
Yeah.
So any kind of downtime, or what's I guess considered downtime for me, I am studying something. I'm learning something, because there's always room for improvement.
I love it. And that's literally who you are.
That's it. Yeah. So that's fun to me now.
No, honestly, I was watching something yesterday. I think it was Kanye West interviewing Drink Champs, right? Mm-hmm. I'm watching the interview, and he's like, listen, human beings are the happiest when they know that they're evolving, right? And that's what you're doing when you're learning. That's what I'm doing when, I'm learning and watching YouTube videos, like, and Josh, like, we're all evolving creatures. And if we don't feel like we're evolving, that's what makes us want to pick up a bottle or, start acting out in depression, because that's part of our self-identity. We're evolvers. We're people that constantly grow. We know we can't get perfection, but what we know is we can always get better. Yeah. You feel me? So I love that. I love that.
It's exciting. So when I was starting this, like I mentioned before, I wasn't in a good place mentally. Yeah. When the ball started rolling on this, I feel like I finally found something to be real excited about. I found something that I'm like, it made me feel good. It was the first time in a couple years where I felt like stuff made sense. Yeah. Like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. This was it. I'm finally acting out in what I was called to do. And the thing is, I love the E-swing. Yeah. But the E-swing isn't like the end for me. Right. You know what I mean? This is the vehicle for everything else that I want.
Right. No, listen.
This is my starting point. Yeah. Like, I still feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah. Because you are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, and like you said, like I'm seeing the growth and just the way that I learn and constantly diagnosing my business and myself. Like I'm diagnosing my, like, where I'm at mentally, where I'm at emotionally. Like there's always a way to be better.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going with this.
No, honestly.
I was going somewhere.
And we could let it run. We could cut it out. You feel me? You let me know after. But honestly, I know exactly where you was going with it. You was just going with, that's where your happiness is. Constantly getting better, improving yourself.
Oh, we're talking about evolving.
Yes.
So a lot of people, a question that I get so frequently is, you're so motivated. How do you get yourself to do all that? Like, how do you stay motivated?
Yeah.
And for me, I don't really have an answer to that because it's not hard.
Right.
I don't struggle with, it's not even a discipline at this point. It's not that I'm disciplined to do my work every day. It's not that. It's that whenever maybe I'm feeling like I'm a little off, I do some research. I read some stories.
Yeah.
I when you know what's out there, and especially when you hear a story of someone who came from a place just like you, a story that resonates with you, and you see what they did, it becomes such a desire from within that I don't have to force myself to do. So I wake up and I do the work because I want to.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And for me to put my family on and do all that other stuff, this work comes with it.
Right.
And I've also learned to appreciate the process.
Yeah.
To fall in love with the journey, because all of this is a part of my story.
Yeah.
The same thing with this podcast you starting right now.
Yeah.
A year or two from now, you're going to be looking back at this one, how we were staring at each other like, okay, so we about to start this? Like,
yeah, facts. Facts.
So I've learned to appreciate every step. I feel that appreciation is so important.
It is.
And by that, it's kind of like so many people are asking to enter a new phase in their life. You know what I mean? Like, or like they want a new car, you know, but they don't appreciate the one that they got now. They're not taking care of the one they got now. They're trying to find love, you know what I mean? They're trying to find the one, but they're still messing around with the guys that they know are not the one.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like what I've done, and I do so well, is that I make space. I make space for my blessings.
I love it. I love it.
And that's in
a
every
bar.
area of my life.
That's a bar. I love it.
I make space for my blessings. I don't fill voids with things that are not forever. I don't spend 5 minutes about something that's not gonna matter in 5 years.
Right. Right.
It's just, and when you really, really tap into that and kind of almost retrain your subconscious mind, it becomes natural. Yeah. It's not forced. It's not.
It's like going to the gym.
Yeah.
It's like eating healthy. It's like raising a kid. It's anything. Like, you know, so no, I love it. I get it. I feel like, so I want to say for me, right? Because I want to say what I've done to invest in myself. Every episode. In the last week, I've invested in myself by applying the answers, right? So there's been things that have been going on, right? I've been so busy, you know, just trying to figure this out. Stocks have been really getting in my brain, right? Just trying to make sure my investments are good. You know, working, making money on the side, just hustling. Because one thing about me, you know, anybody knows I hate the 9 to 5. You feel me? So because I hate the 9 to 5, like, I don't think it's bad. For me, that's not where my happiness lies. So I'd rather be thugging it out, you feel me, in the real world. And when I say the real world, I mean my real world, whatever my real world is, than trying to, you know, punch a clock. I feel like I'm stagnant. I feel like that's where, you know, a lot of like my anger and pain would come in the past, because I'm like, I'm sitting here and I should be doing something else with my life. You feel me? So in the last week, what I've been doing is I've been really putting into play. Like yesterday, for example, I don't really know how to really verbalize it, but yesterday, I got into a car accident yesterday. Yeah, but I'm straight. You feel me? But I really had to, instead of snapping, instead of feeling down, instead of, you know, being like, damn, this is the most inopportune time for my car to get into an accident right now, for me not to have a wheel for, you know, a week or 2 weeks or whatever. I'm like, you know what? This happened for a reason.
Yes.
You know, and what reason? You know, so when you say diagnose, I say reverse engineer, but we're talking about the same process. You know, playing it back in our head and figuring out how can I make this in my favor.
Yeah.
And you know, the main thing I chalked it up to, two things. One, I always have a car issue. What is perceived to be a major car issue before some bread comes in my bank account. And when I say bread, I'm talking about like bread. Like, you feel me? Like bread. So I'm like, all right, so hopefully these stocks hit in the next week or two, you feel me? Because, you know, the thesis is going to continue to hit. You feel me? That's my thesis. The second thing is somebody hit my car. I can't do nothing about it.
Right.
Only thing I can do is find my way, problem solve my way through it. And I feel like, you know, the way I handled it yesterday, I feel like Josh was more mad than me. You feel me? I feel like Laquan, like another close friend of mine that, you know, was, you know, more upset for me than me. He called me this morning checking up on me. I'm like, bro, I'm good, bro. I got to figure it out. That's it. And for me to put those, you know, those teachings that I've learned maybe on YouTube or from reading a book like Life's Golden Ticket. And, you know, Life's Golden Ticket is all about appreciation. It's all about that second chance, right? So, you know, I just had to put a lot of things in perspective. I really had to calm myself down, ease myself down. And honestly, I felt great. And I feel great because it's not something that I can't overcome. And I feel like, you know, that's the way I've invested in myself in the last week.
I love that. And to piggyback off that, when I have those times, and I've had like trying times, you know, this last couple of days have been a little out of my norm for me. Yeah. And I am a firm believer that when you are tested in that way, it's kind of like I look at it as God's giving me a test, and I got to pass the test because some crazy is on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, trying to get me down right now. Yeah. But I'm not gonna give it that energy.
Not at all.
That's not. So I get excited. Yeah. So what I've learned is, and it goes back to retraining my subconscious mind, is when I feel when stuff like that happens, you could be there, you could curse out the guy there, but one, that's not gonna fix your car. Let's start there.
At all.
Now you real mad and you hot. Now the people you were are even more mad and they was already mad.
Yes.
All this stuff is not gonna fix anything. Like, that is not.
It's just putting you in a negative space.
It's making that negative even more negative.
And then people around you that you're going to come into contact with, they're going to be in a negative space because you're in a negative space. And then it's just, woe is me. Yeah.
It sets a tone.
Can't live off
a negative tone.
Yeah.
So I've learned to look at when I feel that way, it's just kind of like, all right, this is a test. This is a test. I'm going to pass this test.
Yes.
I passed. I'm going to keep passing my test.
There's never been a time where I have not passed a test. You feel me? That life has given me.
Yep.
And that's the thing that gives me the most comfort, that gives me the most solace, that, you know, I've been through crazier tests than this, you know, where I was down bad. I told Josh this, and the more podcasts I do, the more people are going to know, like, about James when he was in the trenches. I told Josh last night, I'm like, bro, I'm not mad that my car is messed up. You feel me? And I got to figure that out because I got a lot of money in stocks, number one. Now, I'm down on the stocks. I'm bag holding, right? But it's going to reverse. I didn't take my money out because I know what I got. You feel me? So because I have that, I got, number one, that brewing. When I first moved in with Josh, I didn't have money for a toothbrush for 2 weeks. And it got to a point where I'm like, bro, I need a toothbrush, bro. Like, hook me up. I was that stubborn to not get a job. Yeah. You feel me? Like, that stubborn. And we could talk about this.
That's a Sagittarius thing.
Oh,
because the 9 to 5, I be sitting at my desk like.
Josh is a Sagittarius too.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a Sagittarius thing.
Yeah.
I tried during the pandemic. I got me a little 9 to 5 when I was home.
Yeah. What was it?
I was customer service for PNC Bank.
Okay. Yeah.
I lasted about a week and a half.
Yeah.
And I was on there like, how do I return the computer? Because I even had a bald spot. I like lost a patch of hair.
My
Listen,
gosh.
I had a little opening in my hair.
Yeah.
I was just like, how do people? I'm like, this is not it. You mean I gotta check in at this time? And that goes to why flying is for me. There's no micromanagement.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta be somewhere, but I work as much or as little as I want.
Right.
It's always something different.
Right.
And I don't see the same people every day.
Right.
I work with somebody and never see them again.
That's Josh as well. That's exactly Josh.
And it works.
Yep.
So I feel
It
that.
could
I'm like,
be,
maybe
yo,
it's
I found
maybe
that.
onto something.
It could be a
'cause
Sagittarius thing. Yo, no
I'll be
cap.
there like, I gotta wake up. I gotta do this again.
Yeah.
I got like,
Yeah.
it's not it.
Yeah. No. And honestly, that's exactly how I feel. How I go through it. I know a lot of decisions I make are simply stubbornness, but that's okay because, you know, I know I can handle it. You feel me? Not too many other people. I would never suggest the way I've went through or the route that I have taken to chase my dreams. I would never suggest this route for any other person. You know, when I first started the route, I'm like, yo, I can handle this. And boy, that shit tested me.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise, right? And then now I'm like, yo, honestly, and that's one thing that I commend about you the most, right? And after this, I got one more question to ask, but one more thing that I commend about you the most is that you found the perfect job for you while you were chasing your dreams. You didn't have to go through any broke spells where you're like, I don't want to have to do anything illegal. I don't want to have to, like, you know, punch a clock either. But how do I balance that? Because you are a flight attendant.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like you said, you're not micromanaged. You could pick whenever, like you told me, like, you know your schedule like a month in advance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a beautiful thing. You feel me? So
And
that's
with
just another thing. Yeah.
With that, so even when I got this job, flight attendant is not something that I always wanted to do or even really thought about.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I was working the 9 to 5. I was working in the fashion district.
Yeah.
And I just was so tired.
Yeah.
So at this point, this is when I had started reading the books. This is when I started learning what's out there and things. But I just didn't know how to get it.
Yeah.
I knew what I didn't like.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to get it.
Yeah.
So my stepmom was actually the one that had brought it up to me. She's like, I feel like you'd be good at it. And one day I had a bad day at work. My customer pissed me off.
Yeah.
Ooh, her name was Falasada. I never forgot.
Yeah.
She made me so mad.
Yeah.
I went home. I was like, you're right. I'm going to fill this application. I went on the computer and I did it. When I started learning about the job, that's when I realized it's kind of like I manifested my job because I'm like, I want to travel. I don't like that. I'm stuck in here. I'm stuck in the Bronx. Like, I wanted to be able to afford things. You know what I mean? I was making $15 an hour. I wanted this. I didn't want the micromanagement. I didn't want any of that. So it's kind of like I was just so focused on what can I do. That's when I was like, all right, maybe I could flip these clothes, and maybe I could, like, whatever legal hustle I could come up with. I was doing little gigs. Whatever anything that opened up. So it's kind of like I was like, no, this is what I'm gonna get. I don't know how I'm gonna get it yet, but I'm gonna get it. Yeah. And then I got everything that I wanted as a flight attendant without even knowing it.
And that's the beautiful part about it, right? So it's all about you just following the plan, whatever plan you have, right? And not really holding yourself down to, you know, one way or another, or it has to be this way. No, free flow it. You feel me? Free flow it, but make sure you maintain control. And I think that right there is a major lesson that I want everybody, women, to take from you right now is, yo, maintain control. Like, that's one of the questions that I actually have for you is how do you maintain control? But we have to make sure that goes for next week. Last question I have for you. This is another hashtag. I know I'm going to go with this hashtag. Hashtag Gold Roses. You know the song Gold Roses with Drake and Rick Ross?
No.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh. Your playlist.
Yes. I got nothing but playlists. Yes. All right. So
over.
They made the song Gold Roses. This is what I believe, right? This is the way I heard it. It was right after Nipsey Hussle passed away, and Drake is talking to Rick Ross. He like, yo, man, I just want my roses while I could smell them. And then they created a beautiful song called Gold Roses.
Love that.
So the segue for this is, who is somebody in your life? Anybody, right? And I prefer it not to be like the normal, my mom, my dad, or whatever. Like, you feel me? Like somebody that you may not talk about a lot, but have played a pivotal role in your life, whether it was with the East Wing or any other way, that you want to just give them a moment to give them their flowers right now, their roses.
I am going to give my roses to my coach.
Okay. Yeah.
My coach, Jance.
Okay.
Your
coach what?
Jance is her name.
Jance? Okay. Hi, Jance.
On Instagram, it's at Jance Charte. So she's actually a boutique coach.
Yes, I'll follow her.
And I enrolled in her program about a year ago. Before then, I've bought like classes and stuff from her. Never met her, you know. I saw her on Instagram. I love the way she teaches. She has a YouTube channel and things like that. But what I love about her is her transparency and how real she is. And one thing is that, like, I feel like with her, you not only learn business, but there's a hope in there too, that she works on like mindset and things like that. And I actually got to meet her a couple months in September.
Okay.
She hosted a retreat for
Okay.
her students.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to Dominican Republic. So I flew by myself to Dominican Republic to meet up with a bunch of women I had never seen aside from the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just being in that environment and with those, I'm finally around women who feel me,
Yeah.
who understand.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had the success of finding a boutique owner that's doing what I do. You know what I mean? So the problems that I have, people might not understand.
Yeah.
So her, like, for creating a community that is such a healthy community, all minorities for the most part, just working toward the same goal in different ways. So I'm definitely going to say her because she has been a very, very big influence on my business. She played a really big role in what I know, really helped me solidify the foundation and is still helping. She's played a big part. So I'm definitely going to say her because a lot of the East Wing's growth has been through what she has taught.
Can you give her name and her IG one more time?
It is Jance Charte.
Jance Charte. Okay. And I'm going to make
That's her
sure to
IG
have
as
it
well.
underneath, you feel me, when we
Yeah.
edit and stuff. Miss Jance or Miss Charte, thank you for being such a great person in Kalani's life. And you're probably a great person in a lot more other people's lives. And we need more women like you, more people like you. And, you know, we really appreciate you. Here go your roses, your gold roses. Wait. Yeah, let's clap. Let's clap for Jance. I love it. A moment. With that being said, I really appreciate your energy. When we first started the podcast or the interview off, we was all really like tense and all that, like, you know, acting like we haven't done this a million times. But yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna just end it with this. Once again, at the end of every episode, we're gonna end it with my morning affirmation, right? I want y'all to pick up on this. I am healthy, wealthy, harmonious, and happy. I am loving, loved, powerful, and whole. I am that which I call God. Once again, thank you, Kalani. We'll see you next week, right?
Yes, I'll
Yes,
be here.
we
Thank
will
you so
see
much.
Kalani next week. We got a lot more to talk about. Definitely want to get into the East Wing and get into, like, you know, boy girl stuff, relationship stuff. You know, I just really wanted to take this episode to give y'all a basis of who she is as a human being, because honestly, she's somebody that you need to follow. You can follow her at Kalani Jordan, right? It's Kalani Jordan on IG and the East Wing, or shop East Wing on IG. Make sure you buy some East Wing gear. So once again, Kalani, thank you.
You're welcome.
You feel
and
me?
thank you for
We'll
having
see you
me.
next week. Josh, thank you. You feel me? My cousin, once again,
Hold it
he
down.
films, he's holding it down, he's hooking us up. We couldn't do this without my cousin. We're definitely going to have him on there soon. Once again, thank y'all both. And this has been another episode of the James Terranova Experience.